So in this video, we're going to be taking you through a nice solution for continual tight hip flexors. This is something a lot of runners obviously struggle with a lot, and what most people will basically turn to when they feel like the tight in the front side of the hip is something like this, where they will come into a half kneeling position and basically just push the hip forward, and because it feels stretchy, they feel like they are getting looser, and then you may go back out for the run again and just basically feel tight every single time. So this drill is going to go through a little bit of the mechanics of why you may have tight hip flexors, and then an actual solution for the problem. So yeah, when we think about hip flexors, especially for running specific movement patterns, what we want to think about is how well the pelvis has control relative to the femur, which is the thigh bone. Obviously when we're running, we're going through hip flexion and hip extension, but what we want to think about is how do we keep control over the pelvis. So can we keep the pelvis down? Can we keep the rib cage down and allow a greater amount of freedom through the femur? Often when you push back in extension, this is where you're going to generate power from when we're translating onto the opposite limb during a running cycle phase. So a really good solution for this is to basically improve hip extension by driving force there, as opposed to searching for a stretchy or lengthened type feeling. So yeah, a nice solution for tight hip flexors in terms of coming away from static stretching and thinking more about the mechanics of the pelvis and rib cage relative to the hip is this drill that we're going to go through right now. So first and foremost, this is very beneficial to do on like a table or off the end of the bed. You want to basically be on something which is elevated. From there, the target leg is obviously the right, but we're going to get Matt to pull up into hip flexion on this side, which will be like the mechanics of running, where one hip is flexed and one is extended. What we're going to get Matt to do from there is tuck the tailbone, and then he's going to think about keeping the rib cage stacked down. He's going to take a nice inhale, and then after he's filled his lungs, on the exhale he's going to begin a gentle push down through the foam roller. So he's going to feel the hamstring light up, and what he's working here is keeping the back 100% flat through that table, working the mechanics between the rib cage, the lumbar spine, the pelvis, and the hip and extension. He's going to amass a specific amount of time driving force through here, and then he's going to repeat. So he's going to inhale, he's going to reset that tailbone tuck, crushing the low back through the table. He's going to exhale, and as he begins to empty the lungs, he's going to push down through here, feeling that medial hamstring engage, working the mechanics of running between hip flexion, hip extension, rib cage and pelvic control. And this is a drill what's going to take you a lot further than just simply trying to push your hip forward and hoping that it stretches and feels loose.